Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand.
Hello and welcome everyone to day 2 of our Art of Planetary Science 2020 Virtual Odyssey opening weekend. I hope you could all hear me okay. If not, I'll see the chat pop up. And again, I'm Allison McGraw. I'm your MC host. I'm a graduate student here at the University of Arizona Lunar and Planetary Laboratory, and we are very over the moon excited today to be collaborating with International Observe the Moon Night. We have a series of moon-themed submissions within our art page. Just to remind you, we have a virtual gallery available on our main 2020 Art of Planetary Science page, where you can vote for your favorite art. So be sure to check that out through the beginning of October. Cast your vote there. Check out the 3 different galleries, the data art, the fine art, and of course, the moon art. We will also be playing a series of the collage art videos so that maybe if you want to sit back and watch the art in front of you cascade instead of scrolling around and clicking, but please go click around on our virtual gallery pages. We're really excited to be offering for the very first time in the Art of Planetary Science history, a category of the moon art, a subcategory within our data art and our fine art. So go check out the galleries. We'll be playing the moon collage video during this hour before we get into our other special segment of art that we've been collecting, which of course is the Moon Slam poetry. So we have several entries from many of our poets who have done spoken poetry, and a little play on words there for the Moon Slam. Of course, we can't be in physical presence with each other, and we can't actually do an actual moon or an actual slam poetry, but our hope was to still kind of keep us inspired. And you know, we look up to the moon. It's the second brightest object in the sky. Of course, the sun is the first, which tomorrow we'll be celebrating the sun if you didn't check out our schedule. But you know, we want to kind of highlight that all of us look at the moon, we see it. Of course, the particular International Observe the Moon night and day is chosen at a really specific moon phase. You'll probably notice that sometimes different features pop out to you of the moon at different times of the lunar month as the moon spins around in orbit around Earth. So we find inspiration in probably many of the different phases of the moon and the ways in which we actually view it. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of welcome ourselves from many of past NASA administrators and other videos that have been put together by larger these entities within NASA. These folk who run NASA sort of have done a series of videos which will play, and after that we'll also go into, as I said, our moon art collage video. So this is a little bit of a setback, easy first hour for the day. We'll play these moon videos, introduce you to the International Observe the Moon Night, look at our moon art, and then at 2 p.m. we're going to 2 p.m. Tucson time, we'll go right into that Moon Slam poetry as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play a series of introduction videos, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll be happy to answer questions or defer questions to NASA if we so have any. Remember that in the box down below, the live Q&A, that's the best place to actually send me a question, and of course to chat with the whole panel or the whole group. You can just talk in the chat for fun if you'd like. If you see something, questions I will be checking in the chat as well, but the Q&A is the best if you have a really specific question. So I'm going to stop my video and play a few videos, and then I'll be talking to you guys after. Hope you enjoy.
Good evening. My name is Greg Schmidt, and I'm Director of NASA's Solar System Exploration Research Virtual Institute, or SERVI. We at SERVI are proud to have been a sponsor of International Observe the Moon Night since the very beginning. When I think of the moon, I think of the Apollo 11 landing over 50 years ago, watching in amazement when I was young. NASA and its friends around the world are embarking on a new voyage to the moon in just a few years, which will bring the first woman and next man to the moon and inspire a whole new generation to think that they too can dream big and do the impossible. So have a great time this evening seeing our nearest celestial neighbor, and think of those who've been there and those who will be going. And while you're at it, take a look at Jupiter and Saturn to the moon's right, and the brilliant red Mars rising in the east around 8:30 in the northern hemisphere. Have fun. Thank you.
International Observe the Moon Night. My name is Dr. Lori Glaze, and I'm the director of the Planetary Science Division in the Science Mission Directorate at NASA headquarters. To me, International Observe the Moon Night is a fantastic way for people all over the world to pause, look up, and connect as we appreciate the magnificence of the beautiful moon we all share. As Earth's nearest neighbor, the moon offers opportunities to continue learning about the secrets and history of the entire solar system, as well as the moon itself. The moon is also important for solar system exploration by providing an accessible test bed for our newest technologies. Wishing you an enjoyable and clear night.
Chances are that you saw the moon in the past week, but when did you last really look at it? When did you last wonder what it is?
There's no other thing that you can look at on this planet or through a telescope that's going to show you a surface museum of the violence of the solar system. And we would look like the moon if we hadn't had an atmosphere, oceans, plate tectonics, and all this stuff. We're here doing our tests and driving our cars and going to work and having our lives because of rocks flying around in space. That to me is pretty cool, and that to me is sublime. All of that is available to you just looking through the eyepiece of a telescope.
The moon is easy to see, so it's no surprise that different cultures have used it to explain and justify how people live on Earth. For all of human history, the moon has been a canvas for our imaginations.
We all impose our own narrative on the moon. We get interested in it for different reasons. We get interested in different aspects of it. And it's the same moon.
It is a place, but it's also something that as humans, we have used for a long time, mythologically and culturally. It's poetry, it's songs, it's art.
At the full moon, you can see well enough to get into trouble. You can see well enough, if you imagine a couple of centuries ago, to tip over the outhouse so the farmer next door and he can't see you. I can imagine that a lot more weird things happen at full moon because there's more light.
Fables and folklore, witchcraft, the moon figures in witchcraft as well. The moon is still a cultural artifact through song. That sort of harkens back to the deeper mythological, folkloric, sort of poetic tradition of seeing the moon as like a beacon for some kind of spirituality and certainly romantic love. I mean, the moon as a symbol of romantic love is an important one. The other thing I think that the moon does for us now is it does still figure as a kind of science fictional symbol, like The Expanse, which is set in the solar system, the movie Moon by Duncan Jones that came out a few years ago. And we can bring all that up to what we might call the scientific moon, which is no less alluring and no less interesting, I think.
Scientists learn more about the moon every day, and we're starting to see the moon on its own terms, as an actual physical place. But we aren't that different from the ancient Egyptians or medieval Europeans. Even in a world of hard science, our dreams and attitudes towards the moon and space are still shaped by cultural forces.
For my generation, the moon was a huge deal because we kept hearing about the progress toward getting astronauts to the moon. And it was just part of the culture.
That's beautiful. This has got to be one of the most proud moments of my life, I guarantee you.
And then we got there, and then we didn't go back. And as a culture, we mostly didn't think about the moon. I'm not sure that we were ever that interested in it culturally, except as a status symbol. It was an object of competition.
And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it.
One of the big things going through my career is the moon going from this target to a place we're trying to figure out and understand.
So today we're seeing a resurgence in lunar science. The moon is a place, and it has so many characteristics that are similar to that of Earth. It's been our neighbor through all of the solar system's history. And not only will you study the moon by studying the moon, you will also study the Earth and how it formed.
The composition of the moon is very much like the Earth. The materials probably came from the Earth. And from a cosmic perspective, it's right on our doorstep.
Not only are we sending more spacecraft to the moon, samples that have been untouched since the Apollo days have been opened for the first time. So you've got really fine instruments that can discern things that you couldn't have discerned back in the day. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
We are going back to the moon. We have been going back to the moon for the past decade. The recent science discovery is showing definitively that there's water on the moon. That changes everything.
There probably isn't a more valuable commodity in exploring space than water. Water we can drink, but also water we can make rocket fuel out of. Finding any water is a huge deal. And so there are areas on the moon right near the poles where the sun never shines into these craters, and at the bottom of the crater there is water ice. How much? We don't know. That's something people want to know. Can you find a way to extract and use it? We don't know. Lots of people want to know.
It's very likely that within my lifetime, and definitely within students' lifetimes, that you'll see people go to the moon again, samples be returned either robotically or with people.
In 1969, we thought that we would be living on the moon in not too many years. It turned out to be much harder than we had thought. But when we do step out, that's going to be the place we step to.
Today, 50 years after the first Apollo landing, the moon is back in fashion, not only as a topic of research or as a destination, but as a stepping stone.
If we get bogged down on the moon and we put all of our resources there, then we're not going to get to Mars.
If you want to understand the importance of the moon and know why we might return there in your lifetime, you need to look at both the dusty surface of the scientific moon and at the television, where you'll find the cultural moon. As far as we humans are concerned, the moon exists in a place where fantasies meet facts.
Hello there. This is Charlie Bolden, and kind of a weird way to come to you tonight, but I thought I would come out here on my balcony. I now live in Northern Virginia, in a place called Crystal City, Arlington, Virginia. And I just wanted to welcome all of you to the possibility of participating in the International Observe the Moon Night, 26th of September. I think everybody can recognize the bright light right over my, let me think about this. That's my left ear, and that's our moon. Spectacular view here tonight. It was a little overcast earlier, but it's beautiful now. And if you look just to the left of the moon, about 2 thumbs lengths, I'll try to pan over to it a little bit. That's actually the planet Jupiter. So as we come out to observe the moon on the 26th of September, amazing what other kinds of things you might see. You can't see it very well, but there's also another planet that's up there right now that's really between the moon and Jupiter, but it's a little faint above the line between those two, and that's Saturn. So unfortunately, you can't see it tonight with me. But again, I wanted to kind of encourage you to get together with family and friends, come out, observe the moon in any way that you can. If you can safely get outside, I'm on my own balcony, so I don't have a mask on tonight, but I do encourage you, if you're gonna do it as a group, mask up, go out, get a plan together, and observe the moon as people will be doing around the world. There are all kinds of ways that you can do this. Observe means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It may be that you just do some indoor activity where you help the kids to just do some sketches of what they think the moon might look like, or do some sketches of a nighttime sky. They can make models. They can even do some cookies and bake moon-shaped cookies. So use your imagination. But the big thing is just take the time on the 26th of September to get out, observe our moon in the best way that you can. Do it safely, but enjoy yourselves. Hopefully you'll have as good a time as I plan to have on the 26th tonight, though I'm just observing the moon from my balcony here, as well as good old Jupiter that's over there that you may not be able to see it, but it's really bright for me. This isn't quite as good as it was when I was on orbit, having an opportunity to look at the planets and the moon in all their brilliance, but it's a pretty good way to do it. So enjoy yourselves, be safe, have a good time. It's our moon, enjoy it.
Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our first quick introduction from some personnel around our planetary science field and NASA sphere. We'll just take a moment to explain a little bit about those people and perhaps how they've even been related to the University of Arizona. That last one was Charlie Bolden, and he was actually invited as the keynote speaker. I was lucky enough and serendipitously enough to have him as the keynote speaker when I graduated here from the University of Arizona for my undergraduate degree. So he was had just been at the tail end of his NASA administration position there. So of course now we have a different NASA administrator, but he's still loosely involved, and he's one of the NASA administrators that's actually quite supportive of outreach. So we know that teaching the public is just as important as doing the science itself, so that we all understand the science. And Lori Glaze, who was the first video, she is the current NASA Science Mission Directorate, or SMD. I'm just going to apologize for all the bad acronyms for the entire astronomy and planetary science field. The Science Mission Directorate is a lot of what actually here at the Lunar and Planetary Lab. That's when we write our proposals. We get these calls from the Science Mission Directorate within NASA. They say, hey, we want to go to the moon. Hey, we want to go to the Kuiper Belt, wherever they deem important at the current times. Lori Glaze is sort of the head of seeing that entire science sphere within the NASA realm. And then oh, sorry, Lori Glaze was second. First was Jack Schmidt. He's the only geologist to walk on the moon, and we did actually invite Jack Schmidt to come give a virtual pre-recorded talk, but all he had time for was a short video. I'm sure you can imagine everyone's quite busy, but we enjoy that claim to fame, as we know that the moon is a rock body and very few geologists actually get to go there. So Jack Schmidt has come to LPL before for various talks, so we hope we can invite him back back in the future for you all once, physical events, or maybe he'll do a virtual event for us as well. Of course, he loves to talk about Apollo 17. And we'll actually be talking about Apollo 11 and 17 later in the evening with Dr. Jessica Barnes. So we still have some Apollo-esque folk on board for us today. But again, the astronaut to actually walk the moon, who was a geologist as well. And then the other video, which is a little bit longer that you saw, that is actually a partnership and sort of the special collections library here at the University of Arizona. During the big celebration of Apollo last summer, they put together that video that you watched, all about the moon and how LPL was involved. And you actually saw one of our co-organizers, Amanda, in there. So she's one of the main people behind, of course, the Art of Planetary Science as well. As you can see, we're a voice for this knowledge to be radiated out. And so that video also has our director, Dr. Timothy Swindle. So we also have to give a big shout out to Tim Swindle, because the Art of Planetary Science would actually not be available if it wasn't with the green light of Tim. When Jamie Millaro, now Dr. Jamie Millaro, but when she was a graduate student here, she started the Art of Planetary Science. She basically walked up to Tim and said, "Hey, I want to do an art show." And we were lucky enough to actually have a director who believed in that, partially believed in it, as Jamie described. Tim didn't think that we could do it, but as you guys can see, we do it. We get hundreds of submissions per year, a couple hundred artists each time, and it really is widespread. Of course, international astronomical art associations kind of help out and get the word out there. So again, this is an annual event. Broadcast the word. Now that we know that we can go virtual, one idea is that even if we have a physical show, maybe we still have a virtual show for all of our remote participants. And so that video just kind of was a broad view of the moon and some of that exploration and how some lunar and planetary lab components kind of fit in there. So I will check the chat right now. I don't imagine we have too many questions. Maybe it's still early for Tucson. I don't know if it's early for folk other places, but I don't see any open questions, so that's all right. Again, if you have anything throughout the day, pop it in the chat. Do my best to answer them live. Of course, research anything that maybe needs a little bit more in depth. But let's go ahead and go into our Moon Art Gallery. This is really exciting. So yet again, it takes an army of graduate students to put on the art show. Although I'm the interface here, I've got 8 graduate students that actually co-organize and complete a lot of these tasks. And so this video was put together by one of our graduate students, Galen, one of our new students. So we're really excited. Each year we get anywhere between 5 and 10 incoming graduate students. So we're really excited. We have our incoming students and that they can still participate and work with us virtually. Again, we've all been organizing this show via Zoom as well. So I don't know if you guys are sick of Zoom yet. I hope not. But I'll go ahead and stop my video. I'm going to share the screen for the data art, or the moon art, excuse me. And if we have time, I'll actually go into the fine art video after. We ran out of time yesterday to play it because we had actually a lot of questions, which was great. So we do have collage videos for all 3, and we will be posting those to our YouTube as well. Again, sometimes it might be easier just to kind of sit back and watch the video art instead of having to scroll through. I know we have like 11 pages of fine art on our gallery, which is great. As I've mentioned before, this is the largest amount of submissions that we've ever received for the Art of Planetary Science. So we'll go into moon art, and then we'll watch part of the fine art until we go into our moon slam poetry. And again, feel free to drop questions in the chat at any point throughout any of these presentations. So I will talk to you guys after we look at some art. I hope you enjoy.
Lunar completed his first exploration of the moon, December 1972 AD. In the spirit of peace in which we came, be reflected in the lives of all mankind. America's challenge of
All right, welcome back everyone. I hope you enjoyed our collage video for all of our submitted moon art. Again, that was a very special first time category for the 7-year history of the art of planetary science to enact a sub theme. So we hope to enact future sub themes. We might do some sci-fi next year. So keep an eye out for the different sub themes throughout the years. As we've realized, people really enjoyed that. So that was really neat for the art of planetary science to not only be virtual for the first time, but to also accept a new category for the first time. So a lot of new things, of course, for the world and us as well. So I'm going to check the chat and just see if we've got any questions. I doubt we do. I think we're okay on that. Again, there's that Q&A button down at that bottom screen, or maybe wherever Zoom throws it for you, and you can drop your questions in the live Q&A. Looking forward to what's up next. So we're coming up on the 2 p.m. hour here in Tucson, and that means we're going to go into our Moon Slam poetry. There it is. And so this was actually an event. We were first partnered with the University of Arizona's think tank, and this is something that the Art of Planetary Science has been trying to foster, is to not only be involved with the different art departments that are around at the university, and of course the science departments, as we're all under the College of Science hub in general, but we really wanted to hone in on writing skills. And in particular, myself and other professors that I've talked to have noticed that there's a lack of scientific writing courses available, especially at the graduate level, which you think if we're getting PhDs that we'd be having full-blown scientific writing courses. And the only one that I've actually ever been able to track down is through biosciences. And so science writing sort of is science writing, but there are different technical approaches, such as if you're writing a paper about a theoretical model that you made on your computer versus something that you collected in the laboratory versus going to a telescope and collecting data. So there are sort of different tones within scientific writing, and we hope to hone in on that in the future. So hopefully next year we can do as we had planned to partner with the think tank. The original idea for the Moon Slam poetry was to connect with the University of Arizona's think tank and inspire undergraduates to come to a series of workshops that we were going to hold. Of course, everything kind of fell apart with that. Hard to get people probably to write on Zoom, but hopefully we can continue that in the future when things look in that realm, and essentially get undergraduates involved in coming to workshops and inviting the professors in which they take the classes from. The science education courses, when you satisfy your undergraduate degree, you take these humanities, you take these sciences. And so the hope was, we get these non-science majors taking astronomy and planetary science classes, but, they don't necessarily get to see the big, the ugly side of the technical, but maybe we could invite them to kind of write their own scientific writing styles, or just build up that toolbox for them. Because sometimes it's a little daunting to jump into an astronomy class when astronomy is not your major, and you start hearing words and jargon, and I've already said a few acronyms today, and so the hope would be to try to inspire undergraduates in the future. So this is also serves as an open call. If there's anyone else who's part of University of Arizona departments, the Art of Planetary Science is pretty open. One other outlet that we sort of had to let go this year is the music department. We actually had a wind ensemble that was going to play for you tomorrow called the Solar Winds, but they don't have access to their instruments at all. And so this also highlights just the I guess the sensory side of using the instruments, that they all have to touch those instruments and go in the buildings and practice. Many heartfelt feelings for our instrument folk who maybe don't have access to their instruments, and maybe we can't do big writing workshops, but hopefully we can navigate that a little bit more next year. And as I said, enact a sci-fi theme, and hopefully we could actually be physically in the LPL department. I'll just wrap up this little spiel before I start the moon poetry, is that when I left last night, it was dark and I'm the only one in LPL, and I took a photo of the darkness, and it was really kind of sad because usually you guys would all be there right now. It'd be 3 layers of 200 people and, you know, these 400 pieces of art. And so it was dark and it was quiet, but of course that's how it should be around campus right now. But I will say it's definitely noticed around here that it's not a physical event. So I'm glad that we took so many photos throughout the years. We can look back and make ourselves feel good by remembering what LPL looks like when it's covered in space art. With that, we can kind of move forward on our spoken poetry. And this is a compiled video of submissions that were originally text poem. And if you go to our Art of Planetary Science 2020 page, you'll see at the top header that there's an option for this Moon Poetry Showcase. And it was an open call that we actually sort of did off cycle. Again, this was the first time, a lot of firsts this year. We've never had a specific poetry call, although we always accept poetry as a work of art in general. We thought, again, with inspiring writing and working with the Writing Center, perhaps, you know, this would be an interesting avenue to just highlight poetry. And my original plan was to actually have you all actually read this out for those that submitted and wanted to be a part of this. We have a tree outside of the Lunar and Planetary Lab, and it has flown to the moon. It didn't go down and touch the moon, but we like to call it the moon tree. So if you're ever on campus, it's kind of cool. You get to go check out this moon tree. There's something like 40 seedlings or so that got to go on one of the orbital missions around the moon, and essentially they've been to the moon. But my idea was to have us do moon slam poetry under the moon tree. And it was just a little too hot for me to set up Zoom out there and to still get the ambiance of the moon tree. So I'm sorry, Tucson is still in the summer, even though we're past the equinox. But that was the original idea, and that we were actually going to be collecting these live entries at the Tucson Festival of Book, which of course we know that was canceled as well. So again, we partner with a lot of these U of A components, and even though the original plan didn't quite happen, we still got a lot of submissions. So we collected the text submissions, even though we didn't get to do it live at TFOB, another acronym for you, I'm sorry, Tucson Festival of Books. We still actually had we had almost 20 submissions throughout basically since March when I opened it up. And I asked those poets if they would then want to record it slam style. And we've got quite a few entries here. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video. And after that, I'll pop back in and answer any questions. And it looks like we had a few questions popping up, so I will answer those after this section here as we watch the moon poetry, answer questions, and then we'll resume looking at art. The fine art is our biggest category, and it's a big video, so we won't even get all the way through it after moon slam poetry. But I hope you have some popcorn and a comfy place at home to sit back and watch that, the moon or the video art collections. And so we'll go into the fine art video collection again. Our biggest category, so it'll be a big one. We won't get all the way through it, but we'll keep resuming these videos. And yet again, we're going to be posting these Zoom event big days, as well as some of the collage videos and shorter videos within our Art of Planetary Science YouTube page. So we'll send out links, and of course, all of this stuff is on our website as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my video and then start the Moon Slam poetry. Hope you enjoy.
Dear Moon by Julie Comenda. Dear Moon, I can't believe I took you for granted, always there. You smiling down or curtained with night clouds between us. How I loved watching you when I was young, staying up late on the 4th of July to see fireworks upstaged by the fullness of your beaming face among the stars. And I never thought to see if you were not just alone, but lonely, out in the cold and dark, so far, far away. On my worst nights, I still find comfort in your gaze, even if it is all you can give me. And I will be watching with such envy when others visit you, favored to reflect your light.
Mother Moon by Robin Motzer. While dancing in the light of the silvery moon, with imaginings of other life in tune, amongst the stars she shines. One giant leap from man would find. Mother Moon is our guardian light. Nature moves among the night. Above the forests, deserts, and oceans, guiding the water and animals' motions, dutifully, with peace, quiet, and no strife. Grateful for her brilliance, she supports abundant life. While some celebrate her radiant glory, her rhythms lull others to sleep, to dream an alternative story.
Good morning. This is Nasikta Godar from Orissa, India. Today, I am going to present my poem. The title of my poem is The Dream of the Moon. Since time immemorial, when people had no idea of memorial, they had dreamed to go to the moon and make it their home soon. Then there arose the space race, whose origin we can trace to the Cold War between the USA and the USSR. At that time, nobody could say what way the leaders could take and what decisions they could make. The USA decided and tried to make the dream of the moon true soon. This made people scream out of excitement and amusement. The Apollo 11 landed humans on the moon, and the astronauts brought the remains of the moon's craters. They clicked many photos of the moon and tried to relate these pictures with ancient scriptures. Astro Armstrong, who had worked very hard for long, shared his success with the entire human race without leaving even a single face. Stepping on that moon, which makes people swoon, was an ecstatic moment, not only for the astronauts, but also for the curious kids eating nuts in their huts and aspiring to become excellent astronauts. Now we dream and try and don't cry and cry after failures. Because we go, we are the Artemis generation, and space exploration is our passion. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Caparanis, and my poem is called Woman of the Moon. You call to me tonight and every night, light and dark phases dancing together until the break of dawn. We walk in your shadows and wonder, your exquisite scars, your constant changing. You move the waters around and within us, locked in sync by time and light. With earth and sun one day, lifetimes from now,
You ascend. You become a shimmering halo surrounding our fragile blue world. You are one. You will be many.
Good Night Moon by Adine Denton. I had a dream I ate the moon, ate it like a peach. The sun was young and the planets younger, and I was a giant woman made of gas and dust and hardened starlight. Worlds floated past me, speedy with the pain of the newly born. I reached my great hand out to grab the steaming moon, swollen with its magma, vomiting its insides so that it could clothe itself. Like babies, planets are born ugly and misshapen, and the moon hung there, fracturing and recrystallizing in great shrieking cracks. If planets had brains to feel it, and mouths to tell it, would they say that it burned to make themselves? Or would they only scream to think of it? Of inside becoming outside, of outside sinking in deep. I took that throbbing moon to my mouth and bit down with diamond teeth. The moon was still so soft then, you see. Soft with the heat of youth. Lava spilled out of my mouth like the juice of the largest, wildest fruit, running and burning rivers down my chin until it froze like teardrops against my freezing skin. I don't know how long it took, how many eons it was at the beginning of time that I was there, but I swear I ate the moon. Ate it like a peach. Chewed its juicy, bloated mantle down to its iron core. It was when I stared at that core, the heavy center of a missing world, lying lonely in my great, terrible hand like a child's toy, that I woke up. And as I looked out the window to see the moon still hanging there, yellow with its stolen light, I could not remember why, in those eons as the world was born, I had wanted it to die.
This is called You Are the Silver Dollar. You are the silver dollar I didn't spend at the all-night diner.
You're the light I could have used when my matches got wet camping. Who cares if you're 238,900 miles away? You're a friend in the mesquite branches on a hot night, a cool, distant spoon in the morning. I look for you, even when I don't know I am looking. I stand plumb on this earth of ours, head tilted to you. Human, meet the moon.
It's Not Surprising by June Wilson. It's not surprising that the moon smells like spent gunpowder, considering all the hearts that have exploded looking up at it. Only a borrower like the moon can excite such passion. To bring a rain of halos down to earth, burning circles in the ground. First Day of Spring by June Wilson. Just a slice, the adolescent moon smirks at Venus. Bright dimple in the western sky.
Casting reflected light, you illuminate my night. In comparison for what surrounds you, I'd call you bright. Gravitational marriage leads you on as a carriage, an extra reflector, hanging on oh so tight, and oh so right, to throw a moon shadow. All right, hello, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our Moon Slam poetry. Yet again, another first for the Art of Planetary Science this year. So hopefully we can keep that going. There's actually a decent poetry community in Tucson too. So if anyone is connected with that, let us know. Let's make it bigger and do it again. I think virtual slam poetry is pretty cool. So again, thank you to everyone who submitted that. We do have a few questions, so I'll take some time to answer some of these. One person was wondering about the events and workshops. So I kind of mentioned connecting with the think tank and trying to host writing workshops. The best way is to actually just be on our email listserv. That's where we send out the biggest calls. For instance, when the poetry slam call was open, or if you've been on the listserv, you've seen a series of emails coming for the eventing. So that's kind of our main communication. We do try to post stuff on our website, but we don't expect you to always just run and check out the Art of Planetary Science website, especially off season. This is typically a fall event, although we have done spring in the past, but it's typically a fall U of A semester kind of event. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. That's the direct way to get on the newsletter here in a moment after I answer the next question. This is kind of a hot topic, I guess, with the moon. So this person is wondering, is the Boeing Starliner still considered for the next moon mission? So a little bit of back history on Starliner. So it is going to be the unmanned capsule to try to quote unquote get humans back to the moon. Although we want to get more samples and we'd like to understand the moon in much greater detail, it's quite expensive, and of course it's dangerous. And the idea of we haven't been back there in a while is another kind of way that we might get excited, of course. But the reality of it, I guess, really is that it's sometimes, as you probably have noticed with many things in life, it's politics. And so, yes, there's this big push to get people back to the moon, but a lot of it's quite expensive. We wonder how much we could do if we were just sending more unmanned spacecraft. But what the Starliner is going to be this kind of, as NASA calls it, this gateway to get humans back to the surface of the moon. But Starliner is going to be the suborbital unmanned component. So what the idea is that, say, hey, let's just get people in orbit around Earth. We conquer that, all right. The next mode is, hey, let's just get people in orbit around the moon. But before we do that, they'd like to put something else in orbit around the moon. So it's kind of this gateway cascade of getting people back to the moon. And so the Starliner is contracted by NASA essentially for International Space Station needs quite a bit. But essentially, the biggest customer of NASA are companies like Boeing, and they get contracted out to make this spacecraft, which highlights a really big importance of science versus engineering. NASA's kind of on the science side, but we need engineers. I like to say, blessed be the engineers, because I'll never be an engineer myself. But I need them. I need them to make my telescopes and get things in orbit. And it actually makes a lot more sense from a price point value to requisition Boeing to make the Starliner, to get this unmanned kind of cascade to get man back to the moon, is that, well, they're full-blown engineers full time. If you take side by side, for instance, SpaceX and NASA, SpaceX has been able to develop the technology that NASA's been working on for, I think, the past like 15 years, order of magnitude. We've seen that they've skyrocketed literally and been able to do re-entries and reusable spacecraft or rockets and different parts of the boosters. And so we need engineers. We want Boeing to keep doing the Starliner, even though there might be motives of that glory of getting man back to the moon. Either way, we definitely need more science at the surface of the moon. But last I heard is that Starliner is actually ahead of schedule. They are going to do their next test up to the International Space Station in December something, I don't remember, but keep an eye out for that. Of course, NASA TV, this is another plug for kind of our partnership with International Observe the Moon Night and just NASA in general. NASA TV usually always broadcast those types of launches. Even sometimes they'll go to the feed of the International Space Station astronauts that will be receiving it and checking on it, making sure it can get up there and then back down. So they are ahead of schedule is what I've also kind of heard in addition to that testing in December. So stay tuned. It'll probably, hit the airwaves a bit more. Of course, watching things launch is always fun, even remotely. Through the NASA TV. NASA TV is actually pretty much 24/7. Even if you just want to watch the astronauts, not during a launch time, you can have them essentially, you can watch them do operations, or sometimes it's just a feed of the camera as it floats over Earth. It's always kind of cool. But stay tuned. We'll see a lot more with the Boeing Starliner and, this push to get humans back to the moon. Of course, we still have rovers and orbiters as well, but it will be interesting to kind of see if they follow through and really. I heard by the end of the 2020s is the idea, is that that cascading, get things in orbit around Earth, get things in orbit around the moon, and then get the people actually down to the moon. Ambitious by the end of the 2020s? I don't know. Let's see, double checking the chat before we go into a little video break here. I think that's good. I'm going to drop the chat for the subscribing to the newsletter. I'll do that when the video starts. But again, any questions that pop up, it's kind of fun to kind of see what you guys come up with. The moon is a loaded subject, as we've kind of seen. And there's lots of debates. And our next speaker, after we watch this next video, I've considered to be a moon expert for some time, Dr. Steve Kortenkamp. So we'll hear from him as well. So we'll get our moon scientists kind of coming online for the afternoon. We've got quite a few lined up if you've seen the schedule. So we'll watch part of the fine art video. As I said, it's our biggest category. I think I had 290 pieces of fine art, so we won't get through all of it. So we'll just watch part of it, but we'll pop back in. And again, these are going to be all on our YouTube later on as well. So if you want to sit back and watch them later, and don't forget to vote for People's Choice, which is also on the main header of the Art 2020 page. We'll have that open until October 10th. So pick your favorite art, check them all out, and cast your vote. So without further ado, we'll go into the fine art video. We'll watch that for just under 40 minutes here, and then we're going to bring on Steve Kortenkamp right after. We're going to watch his pre-recorded talk and video talking about how to build a tactile moon and teaching for the blind, and then he will come on for live Q&A. So we'll have him on here with us. All right, I hope you guys enjoy the fine art collection video, and I'll see you soon.
There was once a time when we could only wonder what lies beyond the stars whenever we looked at the sky. Since that time, we have managed to walk on the moon, explore the surfaces of other planets, and observe the universe with a watchful eye. So many of our questions have been answered, yet so many more remain. Where did we come from? Is our planet the only one of its kind? What would we discover if we had the ability to look beyond the horizon of our cosmos? It's time to find out. got two hands, put one on the third side.
Survey completed its first exploration of the moon, December 1972 AD. In the spirit of peace in which we came, be reflected in the lives of all mankind. I think no more significant contribution in evolving to history is not offered that you can foretell history, but I think we can in this case. But I think everybody ought to feel very proud of that fact. This is our commemoration that will be here until someone like us, until some of you come back to read it again. And as I take these last steps from the surface, back home for some kind of coffin we believe not too long in the future, I'd like to just let what I believe history will record that